Have you ever stopped to think about how unfair life can be? Just when it seems like things are finally getting right, an unexpected blow comes and destroys any chance of peace. It's as if fate has a strange obsession with testing how much you can handle. And you know what's cruelest? This usually happens to those who deserve it least. If you think you've ever been in situations where everything seemed to go wrong at the same time, imagine losing the little you managed to save with so much sacrifice. Well, that's exactly what happened to a mother struggling to give her son a decent Christmas. But what happened next changed the game. You think the story ends badly? Believe me, you will be surprised. There is a powerful lesson hidden in the midst of this chaos, and it will make you rethink what really matters. If you want to continue following stories that not only move people, but also bring valuable lessons for life, don't waste any more time. Subscribe to the channel now and activate the bell. This way, you'll be the first to know when new videos are released, and I guarantee that each one will leave you thinking in a different way. Be part of this community that seeks growth and overcoming with each episode. Shall we do this? It's Christmas, and like so many other kids, Troy couldn't be more excited. He has his eye on the PS5, a console that has quickly become an object of desire for many young people. But there is one detail that he cannot see: the difficulties his mother is facing. The reality is harsh, and the lack of jobs has made the PS5 dream almost unattainable. Imagine the emotional weight she carries, knowing that she cannot provide what her son wants so much. Troy's expectations, however, are different. For him, the PS5 is more than just a gift. It's almost a promise of happiness, of belonging among friends. Have you ever noticed how, sometimes, the emotional value of a gift far outweighs the financial value? The desire for material things is something that often arises from the environment around us. For Troy, the PS5 represents something bigger: status, fun, connection with friends. But her mother, on the other hand, sees a whopping number of $500, an amount beyond her means. She wants the best for her son, but there is a limit between what she wants to offer and what she can actually do. Her situation is a reflection of so many families who struggle to balance their children's expectations with financial realities. It's not easy when you want to give everything, but you only have a little. Think about how many parents find themselves in this same position every day, feeling the weight of expectations. It is interesting to note how the relationship between parents and children often revolves around gifts and material goods, especially on commemorative dates. How many times have you seen a child throw a tantrum because they didn't get what they wanted? This happens because, for them, the world is simple. If they want something, they believe they should have it. But what about the parents? They see things from a very different perspective, where priorities, bills, and responsibilities come first. This dichotomy of views can generate conflicts. And how do you deal when what your child wants isn't what you can give? Now, think about how Christmas has increasingly become a date of consumption. What should be a celebration of unity, love, and family often ends up being about gifts, lists, and prices. Not that gifts are bad, of course. They can be a way of expressing affection. But when the focus is only on them, the true essence of the date is lost. For Troy, this detail is still unclear. All he wants is the PS5. But deep down, is that really what he needs? Parents often face a dilemma. Try to meet their children's emotional needs through expensive gifts or teach valuable lessons about limits and gratitude. Troy's mother finds herself at this crossroads. She wants to see her son happy, but knows that the financial value of the PS5 is something beyond her reach at the moment. It's a dilemma that many modern parents know well: how to balance the desire to see a smile on your child's face without compromising the family budget. What if Troy's true happiness wasn't in the PS5, but in the quality time spent with his mother? Children often don't understand the value of simple moments until they become memories. Today's society values having so much that it forgets the importance of being. For Troy, perhaps what he really wants is his mother's attention and love, and not necessarily an expensive gift. But this realization will only come with time. What Troy's mother is experiencing is not unusual. Thousands of families around the world struggle to balance their children's desires with their financial limitations. She knows that even though she wants to give the PS5 to Troy, the amount it would cost would be too much of a burden. The question that remains is, to what extent should we sacrifice our financial well-being to please others? even if they are our children. Christmas, for many people, brings with it a feeling of pressure, not just the pressure of giving gifts, but also the pressure of meeting the expectations created by consumerism. Troy's mother feels this pressure, but she also knows that she needs to teach her son that we can't always have everything we want, and that there are more important things in life than material objects. Is Troy ready to learn that lesson? Even though Troy wants the PS5, he doesn't understand the emotional and financial cost it takes on his mother. It is a maturation process that he will eventually need to go through, understanding that the value of things is not just in the price we pay, but in the effort and sacrifice behind each gift. For his mother, this sacrifice is already being made, even if he doesn't see it. And so, with so many unmet expectations, the first step towards conflict begins to take shape. Troy, for his part, believes the world should revolve around his desires, while his mother deals with the harsh realities of adulthood. And it is in this tension that the story will unfold, revealing much more than just the desire for a Christmas present. Troy's mother, despite adversity, decides to try to buy the much-desired Christmas present. She, like many other people, tries to use a combination of money and credit to cover the cost of the gift. It's a common move in times of financial difficulties, juggling available resources. The credit card, in this case, appears as a temporary solution, but she knows very well that she is only pushing the problem forward. When you live in a tight situation, the act of using credit often brings momentary relief, but it can also become a trap in the future. And then at the store checkout, she is faced with an embarrassing situation. The transaction doesn't go through. Insufficient funds is a phrase that, for many, sounds like a punch in the gut. At that moment, the feeling of helplessness hits hard. Troy's mother, however, tries to remain calm. She knows she can't break down there, because her son is nearby, full of expectations. In this situation, resilience is what keeps you standing. When you face financial difficulties, keeping your head up is one of the biggest challenges, as everything around you seems to be falling apart. Many have already had this experience, standing in line at a supermarket or store, waiting for the card to be approved, and feeling the anxiety growing with each second. What to do when money just isn't enough? For Troy's mother, this moment is a turning point. She could give up, go home empty-handed, but she tries to find a solution. Sacrifice what you can, using what you have in cash, and putting the rest on your credit card. She knows that this will tighten the budget even more next month, but at that moment, her focus is not to disappoint her son. These sacrifices, so common in low-income families, are often invisible to children. Children, by their very nature, do not understand the complexities of finance. For them, things should just work. But for parents, especially in times of crisis, every financial decision involves careful analysis and often difficult choices. What to cut? Where to save? Troy's mother is willing to sacrifice her own financial peace of mind so her son can have a happier Christmas. This scenario is a reflection of the reality of many people who live on financial limits. For those who have been through this, the decision to spend beyond what you have is often not a choice, but a necessity. It's a difficult cycle to break, where credit is used to cover basic needs, but debt only grows. Troy's mother knows that using a credit card is a stopgap, a temporary solution, but at that moment, she is more concerned about making her son smile. The use of credit in situations like this can be seen in two ways: a necessary solution or a problem to be avoided. It depends on how you look at the situation. For Troy's mother, at that moment, it's the only option. She tries not to think about the bills that will come later, the charges and interest, because her focus is on the present. Many parents do the same. They choose to live in the moment and deal with the consequences later. After all, who wants to see their child's disappointed look at Christmas? The act of sacrificing something for the well-being of a child is a profound demonstration of love. Troy's mother is willing to sacrifice her financial stability, her peace of mind, so that he can have a moment of happiness. She knows that this sacrifice will bring difficulties later, but at that moment, it seems worth it. This type of decision is common among parents facing difficulties, and they often find themselves in situations where they need to choose between now and later. These tense moments, where money simply isn't enough, teach valuable lessons. They show how you need to be creative to survive in difficult times. Troy's mother, with her resilient attitude, is an example of how people can find solutions, even when there seems to be no way out. She does what she can with what she has, trying to balance the needs of life with her son's expectations. This is the real dilemma for so many parents, doing the best they can with the few resources they have. This attempt to balance your financial life while meeting your children's needs can be exhausting. For Troy's mother, every time she looks at her bank balance, she feels the weight of responsibilities piling up, and deep down, she knows things need to change. But for now, she keeps fighting. The most important thing for her is that her son has a happy memory of this Christmas, even if it means a future with even tighter bills. And so, with this weight on her shoulders, she leaves the store, believing that at least part of the problem has been resolved. But little does she know that the next challenge is just ahead. Financial difficulties can be relentless, and when you least expect it, another problem appears, putting even more pressure on an already delicate situation. After all the tension and sacrifices to buy Troy's Christmas present, his mother faces a new obstacle. Her car is towed. Imagine the frustration of experiencing a moment of temporary victory, only to be immediately followed by yet another setback. The car was towed due to lack of payment for the registration, something that the mother, already financially burdened, was unable to prioritize. And so, yet another challenge adds to the list of problems, further complicating their already difficult situation. For many, the car is more than a means of transportation. It is an essential tool for working, shopping, and taking care of the family. The feeling of helplessness when seeing your car being taken away, without being able to do anything about it, is something that deeply affects you. She doesn't have the $300 needed to release the vehicle, and every day the car remains in storage, the more this debt increases. This situation is a reflection of the lives of so many families who, when facing a financial crisis, find themselves trapped in a cycle of difficulties that seem to have no end. With every step they take forward, something pulls them back, creating a feeling of always running, but never leaving their place. And the car, an asset that should make your life easier, becomes yet another source of concern. The car is a symbol of freedom, but in times of financial difficulties, it can also become a burden. When living on the edge, even basic maintenance and registration costs can become unaffordable. For Troy's mother, the car being towed is a physical representation of her daily struggles. More and more, she feels that life is taking from her everything she has left. And the worst thing is that, without a car, the logistics of your life become even more complicated. How to take Troy to school, how to go to the market or work. Everything is more difficult without transportation. This feeling that things are getting out of control is common for those experiencing financial difficulties. When the basics, like transportation, start to fail, the impact spreads to all areas of life. Cars are a necessity in many cities, especially in areas where public transportation is limited or inefficient. Without him, Troy's mother knows that even small daily commutes will become major challenges. This constant pressure makes her feel like she is in a race against time and debt. Troy's reaction to seeing the car being towed is pure surprise. For him, it's just another inconvenience, without fully understanding the implications it has for his mother. But for her, it's a devastating blow. She knows that without her car, her options become even more limited. Many people who have faced transportation problems know what that feeling of despair is like. When your car breaks down or is towed, it seems like the world stops. The solutions are not easy, and everything seems to revolve around money, something that is already in short supply. The emotional impact of this situation is immense. Troy's mother tries to hold her ground, but inside, she is exhausted. All her efforts to give her son a special Christmas are constantly being thwarted by a series of misfortunes. And for her, the car being towed is the last straw. The question that hangs in the air is, how will she get out of this? And when you're stuck in such a difficult situation where everything seems to be falling apart, it's hard to find the motivation to keep fighting. But somehow, she needs to move on. In situations like this, support from friends and family can make all the difference. Unfortunately, Troy's mother appears to be facing all of this alone. Without the support of Troy's father, and with few resources available, she is on her own. This raises an important question. How far should people go to ask for help? Often, pride or fear of being a burden to others prevents us from seeking the support we really need. In her case, could asking someone close for help have prevented the situation from reaching this point? As the day progresses, she tries to think of a solution. Without the car, everything gets complicated, but she still needs to find a way to move forward. What many people in your situation do is try to delay the inevitable, hoping that a magical solution will appear. But in reality, the car will remain in storage, and the debt will only increase. The most frustrating thing is that the longer she waits, the harder it will be to get the vehicle back. And meanwhile, Troy begins to realize the impact this loss is having on his mother. But for now, life goes on. Without her car, Troy's mother needs to find alternative ways to solve everyday problems. Walking, hitchhiking, or using public transport become the new alternatives, each with its own limitations and difficulties. And as she tries to adapt to the new reality, the feeling of being trapped in an endless cycle of financial difficulties intensifies. And so, with her car towed and her finances in ruins, she begins to realize that things could get even worse. The next challenge is about to appear, and this time, it will be even more personal and painful. After all the tension of being able to buy the gift, the situation gets even worse. Troy's much-desired Christmas present is stolen. This is one of the most devastating moments for Troy's mother. She was already overwhelmed, physically and emotionally, trying to balance her finances and, at the same time, satisfy her son's wishes. When the robbery occurs, it's as if all her efforts were in vain. Imagine the feeling of frustration and helplessness that comes over her. Many times in life we face moments when, despite all our efforts, things spiral out of control in unpredictable ways. The gift represented more than just an object to Troy. For him, it was a kind of consolation, a way to forget family difficulties, even if for a few moments. And now, with the gift gone, the emotional impact is profound. The mother, on the other hand, already without much strength, sees this robbery as the culmination of a sequence of bad events. It's as if the universe is conspiring to make your situation even worse. For many people, moments like this are a part of life, when everything seems to go wrong at once. The question is, how do we react to these moments? The feeling of helplessness is something many can relate to. When you're already in a difficult situation and something unexpected happens, like a robbery, the feeling of loss is amplified. For Troy's mother, this is more than losing an object. It's missing the opportunity to make your child happy. Many parents, when going through situations like this, feel a deep guilt, as if they were somehow responsible for the events. It's a difficult cycle to break, as external difficulties turn into internal emotional weight. Troy, upon discovering that his gift has been stolen, reacts with outrage and frustration. After all, he had placed all his hopes on the PS5. For him, the gift was more than a status symbol between friends. It was a way of connecting with the world, especially in such complicated times. This loss is a hard blow, and her reaction, while understandable, puts even more pressure on her mother. Children often don't understand the sacrifice their parents make for them, and Troy doesn't yet have that maturity. The theft of the gift also brings to light a reflection on the fragility of material achievements. The things that cost us so much effort, time and money, can be taken from us in an instant. That's a tough lesson Troy's mom is learning. She had already sacrificed so much to buy the gift, and now it simply disappeared. This event can serve as a reminder that no matter how much we cling to material goods, they are ephemeral, and when they are gone, what remains is our resilience and ability to move forward. This robbery also symbolizes something bigger: the escalation of problems the family faces. The stolen Christmas present is just another example of how things are out of control. When we are in a difficult phase, it seems that the difficulties multiply, and with each new problem, we feel further away from a solution. For Troy's mother, the stolen gift is a blow to her pride and efforts as a mother. She feels like she failed, even though she knows she did everything she could. This feeling of failure is common in parents facing financial and emotional crises. Many people who have been in similar situations know how frustrating it is to lose something they worked so hard for. The theft of a precious asset can generate a feeling of injustice, that the world is being unnecessarily cruel. For Troy's mother, this is further proof that, despite all the effort, things don't always go as planned. This type of event can trigger a series of questions about life, purpose, and even luck. After all, why do these things happen to people who are just trying to do their best? However, it is in this moment of crisis that people often find their greatest strength. Troy's mother, although devastated, has no time to grieve. She needs to move forward, even if everything around her is falling apart. This is a classic example of how sometimes we need to get up, even when we don't have the strength to continue. For Troy, however, that lesson is still unclear. He is focused on the loss of the present, without fully understanding the sacrifice and struggles his mother is going through behind the scenes. The gift theft also forces the mother to make a difficult decision. Should she tell Troy the truth, or try to find a quick solution to resolve the situation? This dilemma is common among parents who want to protect their children from the harsh realities of life. The mother knows that if she tells the truth, Troy will be even more frustrated and disappointed. However, hiding the truth can also cause more problems in the future. This is a decision that requires wisdom and caution, as any choice can have profound emotional consequences. And so, with the gift stolen and expectations shattered, Troy's mother realizes that this is just another challenge in a long string of difficulties. But as the layers of problems pile up, another deeper issue begins to emerge: family tensions and the truth about her parents' past. After the gift theft, family tensions reach a new level. Troy, frustrated with the string of problems, begins comparing his mother to his father, who appears to be in a much better financial position. This comparison is painful for the mother, who is doing her best to keep the family together and overcome the difficulties. It is common, in divorce situations, for children to project their frustrations onto one of the parents, generally the one who is closest and most available. For Troy, the father figure represents a solution, albeit a superficial one, to his immediate problems. However, he still does not understand the complexity of the situation. The emotional dynamics between mother and son become more complicated as Troy questions why his father isn't there to help more. To him, it seems obvious that his father could resolve the situation easily, and he doesn't understand why his mother is going through so much difficulty. This type of questioning is common among children and adolescents who experience separation from their parents. They do not fully understand the reasons behind the separation, and often idealize the father or mother who is not present. Troy's mother tries to explain the situation, but knows that some truths are too painful for her son. The distance between the parents and the emotional tension between mother and son reveal a conflict that goes beyond the Christmas present. It is a reflection of how divorce impacts families on deep levels. Separation not only affects parents, but also children, who often feel like they are in the middle of an emotional dispute. For Troy, this comparison between his parents is a way of expressing his dissatisfaction with the current situation, but he still doesn't have the maturity necessary to understand the sacrifices his mother is making. Many children in similar situations also fail to realize how hard their parents fight to keep them protected, even in times of difficulty. It is at this moment that emotional wounds begin to appear. Troy feels frustrated and helpless, and ends up directing his frustrations at his mother, who is already burdened with financial problems. This type of dynamic is common in families going through crises, where stress and anxiety generate internal conflicts. The mother, on the other hand, tries to remain calm and patient, but it is difficult not to feel hurt by Troy's words and actions. After all, she is doing everything she can, but she feels that, in her son's eyes, it will never be enough. Troy's comparisons between his mother and father also reflect a larger issue: the difference in roles between parents after a separation. While the father apparently has a more comfortable and stable life, the mother is dealing directly with the challenges of everyday life, including tight finances and raising her son. This difference often leads children to idealize the absent father, without realizing the burden that the present father or mother carries on a daily basis. For Troy, it's easier to blame his mother for the situation because she's the one there, facing the difficulties head-on. What Troy doesn't yet realize is the emotional impact his comparisons have on his mother. She feels unappreciated and misunderstood, as if all her efforts are ignored. This feeling of inadequacy is something that many single parents face, especially when children begin to idealize the other parent. Troy's mother, however, maintains her firm stance, knowing that deep down she is doing the best she can. She hopes that, over time, Troy will understand the sacrifices she is making to provide the best for him. Another important factor in this emotional dynamic is the silence about the real reason for the parent separation. Troy's mother keeps a lot of information about what really happened to herself, believing she is protecting her son. However, this silence only generates more questions and frustration for Troy, who feels confused about why his parents are no longer together. Often, children in divorced families create their own narratives to fill in information gaps, which can lead to misunderstandings and resentment. Emotional tension also affects the way Troy sees the world around him. For him, everything seems to be falling apart, and the fact that his father is not around to help only increases his feeling of abandonment. This dynamic is common in families where the absent parent is not as involved in the children's daily lives. Lack of involvement can make children feel less important, leading to a cycle of frustration and misunderstanding. For Troy, the lack of clarity about what's really going on between his parents only makes the situation worse. And so, with family tensions at an all-time high and painful comparisons between mother and father, the truth about the divorce begins to emerge. The next step will be to confront the harsh realities of the past and finally reveal the reasons behind the separation, opening space for a new understanding between Troy and his mother. As tensions rise, the truth finally comes to light. The reason Troy's parents split up. For a long time, this truth was hidden, with the mother trying to protect her son from the harsh realities of adult life. She thought that by keeping quiet about what really happened, she was preventing Troy from getting hurt even more. However, this silence only served to fuel Troy's frustrations and comparisons between her and her father. Now, he is about to discover that the separation was not just a matter of incompatibility, but rather a consequence of his father's infidelity. For Troy, the revelation is a shock. He always held his father in high regard, thinking of him as the model of stability and success. The idea that your father betrayed your mother and contributed to the destruction of the family is difficult to accept. Like so many children in similar situations, Troy begins to question everything he believed about his father. He realizes that things are not as simple as he imagined, and that adults often hide difficult truths to protect their children. The truth about infidelity shakes the trust he had in his father. This type of revelation is devastating for any young person, especially when one of the parents is idealized. Troy realizes that his mother, all this time, has carried a huge emotional burden without ever revealing what really happened. She sacrificed her own emotional well-being to protect Troy, and now he begins to see the sacrifice in a new light. Instead of just being the mother who struggled financially, she becomes a figure of resilience, someone who has endured more than he ever imagined. This shift in perspective is powerful and brings a new dimension to the relationship between mother and child. Infidelity is a sensitive topic, but it is something that many families face. For Troy, learning that his father cheated on his mother not only affects how he views his father, but also how he understands the concept of trust and loyalty. These are values he always believed his family followed, and now he finds himself in a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. Many children and teenagers who go through similar situations begin to question their own beliefs about what is right and wrong. For Troy, the world as he knew it is falling apart, and he needs to process this new information carefully. This is the kind of truth that changes family dynamics irreversibly. Troy realizes that while he was blaming his mother for not being able to give him what he wanted, she was dealing with the pain of a devastating betrayal and the aftermath of divorce. It is a moment of reflection for him, where he begins to understand how much his mother sacrificed for him. This revelation also brings to light the fragility of human relationships and how they can be destroyed by wrong choices. For Troy, this is a bitter but necessary lesson. Troy's mother, in turn, is relieved to have finally told the truth, but also knows that doesn't make things any easier. She still needs to deal with the emotional consequences of this revelation, both for her and for Troy. By revealing the truth, she hopes that Troy can finally understand what she went through and perhaps, in time, forgive his father for his choices. However, She knows this won't be easy. Many families who experience this type of emotional revelation face a long road of healing and reconciliation. Troy is now at an inflection point. He needs to decide how he will deal with this new reality. Many young people, upon discovering the truth about their parents' divorce, are torn between love for both and feelings of betrayal. For Troy, this is a difficult time, as he realizes that the father he admired so much also made serious mistakes. This doesn't mean he will stop loving his father, but it certainly changes the way he sees him. It is a maturation process that, although painful, is necessary for him to grow emotionally. The hardest thing for Troy is accepting that his mother was trying to protect him this whole time. He realizes that she didn't tell the truth, not out of fear or weakness, but out of love. She wanted to preserve Troy's image of his father, even though she knew that image was flawed. Parents often make difficult decisions to protect their children from the realities of life, and this revelation makes Troy understand that his mother wasn't trying to hide anything out of malice, but rather to keep him from being hurt unnecessarily. The truth about the divorce also forces Troy to reconsider his recent actions. He realizes that he was unfair to his mother, comparing her to his father without knowing all the facts. This is a moment of personal growth, where he begins to see the complexity of human relationships. What once seemed like a simple question of who was better now turns into a deeper understanding of how adults face difficult dilemmas and make decisions based on what they believe is best for their children. For Troy, this is a turning point. And so, with the truth finally revealed, the family dynamic begins to change. Troy is still processing everything he discovered, but now at least he has a clearer picture of what happened between his parents. However, this is not the last piece of the puzzle. There are more lessons to be learned, and the next step is figuring out how to move forward with this new information and rebuild the family bonds that have been broken. After all the turbulence and challenges faced, Troy's mother's life begins to take a more positive turn. Her perseverance and determination are finally rewarded when a job offer comes her way. This is the turning point she so desperately needed. For a woman who fought so hard to support her family through so many hardships, getting a job isn't just a financial victory. It's an emotional victory. Employment offers not only stability, but also the possibility of regaining the confidence and dignity that have been undermined through so much adversity. With this new opportunity, Troy's mother sees a light at the end of the tunnel. The promise of financial stability means she can finally breathe a little easier and start planning for the future more optimistically. Imagine the sense of relief she feels knowing that she will soon be able to pay off her debts and offer Troy a life less marked by uncertainty. This is the type of transformation that many people seek when they are at a difficult stage in life. A job is not just a salary. It is the key to independence and security. The job offer also represents something bigger, overcoming the obstacles she faced as a single mother. Throughout the process, she remained steadfast, even when everything seemed to fall apart around her. And now, with this opportunity, she sees the chance to rebuild her life. This kind of resilience is inspiring to many people facing similar difficulties. When everything seems lost, persistence and hope can be the decisive factor in achieving real change. For Troy's mother, this offer is confirmation that all her effort was worth it. Troy, in turn, begins to see his mother in a completely different way. He realizes that, despite all the difficulties and sacrifices, she never gave up fighting for him and her family. The job offer brings not only financial security, but also a new sense of respect and admiration from Troy. This is a moment of reconciliation between mother and son, where they both begin to better understand the role they played in each other's journey. Troy, who once compared his mother to his father, now sees the true strength and resilience she has shown. This happy resolution is also a powerful example of how family support can transform difficult situations. Even amid all the challenges, Troy's mother had the help of her own family, especially her grandmother, who was present at crucial moments. This shows that, no matter how difficult things may seem, support from the people we love can make all the difference. For many families, this is the key to overcoming crises. Joining forces, offering mutual help and never giving up, even when everything seems impossible. With the new job offer, Troy's mother also starts to dream again. She, who had put her own plans and ambitions aside to take care of her family, now sees the possibility of following her own dreams. Employment is not just a source of income. It is also a chance to regain your own identity and regain control of your life. Many people who face financial challenges end up sacrificing their own desires and ambitions, but when financial stability returns, these opportunities for personal fulfillment resurface. Now, with the prospect of a more stable future, Troy's mother can also begin planning beyond her immediate needs. She can think about Troy's education, how to provide him with better opportunities, and also how to take better care of herself. This is the kind of change that transforms not just one person's life, but that of the entire family. When a mother finds a stable foundation, the entire family dynamic benefits. The job offer, therefore, is a turning point in the life of this family, which begins to see better days ahead. Troy also learns a valuable lesson in this process. Life is made up of ups and downs, and what defines people is not the absence of difficulties, but the way they deal with those challenges. He sees that, even in the face of the worst adversity, his mother never gave up, and now they can finally enjoy the fruits of all this effort. This is a lesson that Troy will carry with him for the rest of his life. The importance of resilience, sacrifice, and family support in times of crisis. Now that things are starting to look up, Troy's mom can finally focus on her own happiness too. Employment offers the opportunity to regain not only financial security, but also self-esteem and well-being. Many parents, in difficult situations, put their children's needs ahead of their own, which is natural. But over time, it is essential that they also find time for themselves. For her, this new job is a chance to redefine her life and take care of herself again, something she had left aside for so long. And so, with the job guaranteeing a more promising future, Troy's mother and he can begin to dream of new horizons. But even with financial problems resolved, other emotional and family issues still need to be resolved. After all, the path to complete reconciliation between mother, child, and father is not yet completely paved, and the next step is to face these issues head-on. After everything you've seen, one thing is clear: life is not about what you lose, but about how you get back up. How many times have you found yourself in a situation where it seemed like nothing was going right? Maybe you're going through this right now. But here's the secret: anything can change. And no matter how difficult it is, what defines you are not the obstacles, but your ability to overcome them. It's time for you to start applying these lessons to your own life. What are you going to do from now on? Will you let difficulties overcome you, or will you find the strength to turn things around? If this content made you reflect, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to continue learning and transforming your reality. The next step is in your hands.